Hello everyone, this is Henry Barnathan and you are watching HTML. If you've ever struggled with an addiction, have a family member who has struggled with an addiction, or would just like to learn more about the connection between Judaism and mental health, then this episode is specifically meant for you. This week I've had the pleasure of meeting with Rabbi Moses Haber. Not only is Rabbi Haber a seasoned educator, he is also a licensed therapist who specializes in treating addiction through combining modern psychology with Judaism. In the episode, we go over how he first started Mekor, an organization that helps reduce relapse rates through the use of spirituality and by using God as an ultimate resource for inner healing. We go over what addiction really is, how to best get to the root of what is driving addictive behaviors, and ultimately an understanding how an addiction may be trying to help numb feelings of anxiety that people rather not feel. Our hope in shooting this is that you'll walk out of this episode having a clearer understanding of what addiction is, how it forms, and what you can do to best help yourself and others. It's a nice episode, has a lot of information packed in there, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thank you. Hello everyone and welcome to HTML. Today I have an amazing guest with me, Rabbi Moses Haber. Now, Rabbi Haber started teaching in Flatbush High School for 16 years. And after he taught in Flatbush High School for 16 years, he ended up working in many schools in general and worked at Sha'arei Shalom, I'm pretty sure.
Currently.
Right? Currently working at Sha'arei Shalom. He has a master's in education and social work. And he is currently licensed in New York and New Jersey. And he not only has his own private practice, but he started a really nice organization called Mekor, right? And so why don't we, so before we even go into that, I just want to let everyone know what we're really trying to do today. Today is really about addiction and healing addictive behaviors through spirituality, through faith, through religion, right?
Yeah.
Which many people find very therapeutic. Yeah, people connect through spirituality, and they find that, I think even in the 12-step program, that's very highlighted, right? And believing in the
higher power.
Yeah, higher power. Yeah. So that's what we're going to speak about today. So I'm very excited to really just dive in. But first, let's go over Mekor, because I really think that's a really nice organization, what you're doing. So you want to speak a little bit to that?
100%. Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Henry. I remember good times. In class with you many, many years ago.
Yeah, Rabbi I didn't even mention that. So he actually taught me Jewish philosophy when I was a teenager, and that was one of my best classes. I loved it.
Thank you. We get a lot of positive feedback from that class from many students who went on to do great things. That it was a class that was really good for the foundational beliefs of Torah.
Yeah.
So Mekor started really in the basement of a church.
Really?
Yeah. I was working in another yeshiva at the time.
I didn't know you're that kind of rabbi.
And one of the parents asked me to take them to a meeting, and I really had no idea what this meeting was or what this person was challenged with. And he came back from rehab, and he didn't want to go to his first meeting alone. He went to California, Chabad of California, and I picked him up. And it was in the basement of a church on Avenue M.
Wow.
And I saw there an amazing thing of people who were humble, people who were honest, people who were vulnerable. And, it brought tears to my eyes. There were, 40, 50 people in the room, Jews, non-Jews, Hasidim, Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, Chinese and Russians. And as we were leaving, this gentleman said to me, there's a lot of people in the community who could use a rabbi who understands pain and addiction. And I thought he was nuts at the time. But the next week, he convinced me to give a class.
How long ago was this?
This is 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years ago. And the next week, I was giving a class on the concept, I think, of Kain and Hevel. To a bunch of guys around the table in somebody's living room.
Yeah.
And half the guys I knew from school, from life, from the community. I didn't know they were in recovery or challenged with substances or addiction. And I gave that class. And Hashem works amazing. And that caused me to pivot from careers in formal education and teaching in the classroom and administration, and I pivoted and I created this organization. And the goal of the organization is to reduce the relapse rate. Because, you know, as being a therapist yourself, the failure rate for guys who go to treatment centers,
It's very high.
the failure rate is between 90 and 95% within the first 5 years. And we believe that using spirituality, Torah-based spirituality, for our, you know, for our groups of people, Sfaradim and Ashkenazim in our area, that it's going to reduce the relapse rate and we're going to save lives. And it has actually in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, first, beautiful story.
Yeah.
That touched me, and especially where you said a rabbi who understands pain. And just to note on that, you know, not and we kind of spoke about this on the phone a little bit about, I know we're not going to go totally into men's men's issues and pain, but it really speaks to that, because a lot of men, people don't really understand how much men are carrying. Men are carrying tremendous amounts of pain, and they might not even know it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's
Right, they might not know
they're not even aware of it themselves. And you know, in a way, their brain tells them that they have to, and maybe they do sometimes, because in order to survive in this world, you have to be tough, you have to be strong, you have to know what you're doing, you have to be there for your family. You know, that's what a man is, and I understand that completely. But at the same time, there's when all of that pain is underneath, it can come out in different ways, right?
That's right.
And so, I guess linking that back to addiction.
Yeah. I mean, I heard this quote once that many men live lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Men live lives of quiet desperation. And it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just like a reality. Like, there's a lot of work to do with spirituality, Torah, and mental health to help men, women, people, you know, work and see the pain if they're in pain, and bring it out and just help process it.
Yeah. But I love this idea. It's an amazing idea. Really, like, kudos to you. Like, that's how you even got there.
Thank you.
No, really, it's amazing, and not only amazing, but I'm very curious. So how does that look, right? So let's say someone is struggling with addiction, and they're also very connected spiritually, and they say, you know what, like, somehow I want to use spirituality to get me through addiction. I have devil's advocate telling me, okay, but it's an addiction, you know, like, how you gonna, you know, help me get over, like let's say someone says, oh, I vape every day, and, you know, I smoke weed every day, and, you know, could be drinking, whatever the substance might be. How is spirituality going to, could we maybe, let's go through the process of that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the real question that we're learning to ask now is not what are you using or what are you doing. I think the real question that we're learning to ask now is, where is the pain? You know, the author of The Hungry Ghosts asks, that's the first question he asks when people come into his treatment center on the West Coast. Where is the pain? Because if you're just treating the substance or the process, you might be working with that and helping them, teach them different strategies of dealing, let's say, with drinking or with pot. But the question is, what is that action the medicine for? And if a boy is smoking, you know, pot all day long, that's medicine for something else that's going on inside him or her. And that's really the work that we should be doing.
1,000%.
You have to get them clean, so they would go to a detox center, let's say. They'd have to work towards getting clean, either through the abstinence program or the harm reduction program. Yeah. But really, the work with a spiritually directed therapist is, where's the pain coming from? And then the question is, well, is this pain something that could be, you know, cognitively restructured with some spiritual thinking? And it's not easy. It takes some time.
But I like that ending, what you just said, because it's about how to get people thinking in other ways to, I guess, view their problem or perceive their problem, or in relationship to their problem.
Right.
So I think I was telling you this earlier. I just got certified in IFS.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great therapy, and I think it's really helpful. So they had a little piece on addiction, and they said the same exact thing. And you know, there's a video actually called "Everything We Know About Addiction Is Wrong."
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
oh, you saw that video?
Yeah.
And I didn't really watch it yet, but I heard it's really good. But I think it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard. I don't know why I didn't get a minute, but I heard that it really highlights how it's not, just like you said, it's not about the substance. It's about what the substance is treating.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a medicine.
It's a medicine. It's
not
it's
really,
a medicament. Right. But that's so important for people to know, because there is tons of shame surrounding addiction. And I think one of the most important things for people to know is that the addiction, that part of you believes that it is helping something.
There's no bad parts.
There's no bad parts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
part of you is trying to help. The addiction, whatever it is. Let's just take drinking on Shabbat. So there might be shame that a father has in not knowing exactly how to be a man at his table at Shabbat and fulfill his responsibility to his children and to create the atmosphere and the Shabbat table. So it's a big job. It's a big job to make sure all the kids are being paid attention to, and you're educating them, and you're role modeling for them, and you have to be a good husband. There's a lot of, so I am assuming that some men drink earlier in shul, and that might take the edge off of going home. I'm not talking about, dating. I'm talking about being a dad. You're already a dad.
Yeah.
And you might drink a little bit in order to take the edge off, to medicate yourself, to help yourself deal with those responsibilities.
Yeah.
And that's that's not a bad guy.
It's not a bad guy. It's a great example because especially when, so I want to use that example because let's say that person is trying to really just keep his family together. Let's say he has his kids that are complaining or constantly, or maybe they got, in trouble in school, and then his wife is having an issue, and he has so much on his plate, and then he had a business deal that goes wrong. Then all of a sudden he's like, you know what, Shabbat's coming. Let me just drink.
Yeah.
I need that right now.
Yeah.
I need that right now.
I need that so I can be normal for my kids.
Right. Yes.
That's the way,
And so
a woman could,
yeah.
a woman could do that as well.
Yeah.
For all good reasons.
Yeah. And so I want to take a minute to really highlight that for people, that if someone is addicted to substances, your intention is pure. Your intention is good.
Yes.
You're not a bad person for a part of you trying to help yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say no one wants to be an addict.
Right.
No kid in high school, no guy in college, no father, no mother, no grandparent wants to be an addict. It started out for a real reason.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and there's a lot of different theories on that, those switches were turned on in that person's brain.
Exactly.
And they became affected by it in ways that I wouldn't, or another person who drinks doesn't.
Yeah, so I actually saw that once, and I think we could just say that about mental health in general. What we find is, and what I found is that I don't think people have mental disorders. I think people go through life difficulties, and then when things get too difficult, their weakest point gets hit. So for one person, it might be anxiety.
Yeah.
For another person, it could be they'll get depressed, and this could be all genetically based. Another person, it could be bipolar, schizophrenia, who knows? And another person, it could be addiction.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. And that could be their weak point.
Yeah.
Where when they fall, that's where
they go to.
Right. That's what gets activated. Yeah.
I've heard that. It makes a lot of sense. I would say that it starts, the word addiction and addict is complicated. There's a lot of machloket about it in the world of addiction. I think using one term that I like using recently is you have an unhealthy coping mechanism.
I love that.
You have an unhealthy coping mechanism, meaning, you're doom scrolling all day and all night. That's an unhealthy coping mechanism. You're drinking too much. You're smoking pot too much. You're vaping too much. You're gambling. You're looking at inappropriate things online.
Yeah.
You're having inappropriate relationships, right?
Yeah.
All these things are unhealthy coping mechanisms that when it starts, it might be simple, but then you become biologically, the chemicals wired, and then you become also behaviorally connected to it. So you really have to work on two streams of thought. You have to get them biologically clean, and you have to get them behaviorally restructured. And then, of course, the soul, the neshama, the spirituality is going to give you the resource. Hashem is the resource.
It's true.
Unfortunately, we have a lot of religious trauma.
Yeah.
Not so much in our community, I don't think, but in other communities, I deal with a lot of Ashkenazim and a lot of Hasidim. There's a lot of religious trauma that Hashem, religious people, parents and grandparents who represent religion are not seen as resources.
You're seen as...
We have a different community. I think we have different issues, but for a lot of times, spirituality can't be a resource because they grew up being abused by a religious leader or religious figure, or that the Torah for them was rules and not heart.
I love how you're saying this because you're a rabbi yourself, and so many people, no, it's very true, that where they could, and it sucks because it's not real, I don't think it's real Judaism, but where they have a negative view towards religion because they've had that kind of taste, they've had that kind of, so it's a truth that unfortunately people can have a negative, and I've seen this more in the outside world where people have a negative view towards religion. I guess for different reasons. I have a feeling it's because they feel forced into things. They look at it as rules and not relationship.
Well, it's both.
Right.
And if you want to have a good relationship, you have guidelines.
Yeah.
I think the world and the way that the education system has trained us is not necessarily, it's doing a lot of good work, but there's some things that we have to start thinking about if we want to help kids grow up to have Hashem as a resource.
Yeah, but it's important you're saying that because some people might not want, they might be even terrified to use,
correct,
to use Judaism as a resource for them.
Yeah, and many people shouldn't come to me if I'm a therapist that uses spirituality as part of the conversation, whether it's in Mekor or in my sessions.
Right.
And I might not be for them.
Yeah.
They might need to go through some work with someone else. And when they figure it out, they might want to come.
Because that might be a whole different issue.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, people have not come to Mekor and to some of or chosen me as a therapist. When you call, let's say, relief, they'll give you 3 options for therapists to go to. And one of the things they'll say about me is that he's a rabbi and he uses spirituality as part of the modality, in session.
Yeah.
I'm willing to sit with anybody, but if you have really deep feelings about spirituality, then I'm probably might not be the right guy.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing, and maybe those are things to explore. But I don't even want to be negative because on the flip side, people will totally use religion as a resource.
Well,
right, and so you could have like both ends of the extreme.
Right. We have such a beautiful growth in the community in the last 10 years. I mean, you can't get. You can't get a seat in shul these days. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's really, really beautiful. I think the community is growing. I think some work needs to be done on exactly some of the messaging, but we're only better for becoming more spiritual, more observant. You look around and you walk around Shabbat here in Deal, and it's packed beautiful. Yeah. Sunday mornings are packed. Yeah. But we should talk about a very important thing called spiritual bypassing, which I see happening in the community. And that the definition of spiritual bypassing means that everything's from Hashem, which we believe. But if it is, I don't have to deal with it. So I bypass the work, the mental health work. I bypass the spiritual work, and I sit silently and I accept what God gives, and I'm not processing it. And that's really a problem we should start talking about more, is that the speeches are great, the classes are great, people are listening, they're going to shul, they're going to the classes, they're listening while they're cooking and while they're driving. All of that is fantastic, but we should recognize that spiritual bypassing could be a negative byproduct where a person is going through pain, they're going through a struggle, they're going through a mental health struggle or a physical struggle or a financial struggle, and they're not working on it. They're bypassing it, just say it's up to Hashem. And that we need to work on, and we need to start educating our community that that's not necessarily a healthy way of going about dealing with challenges.
Yeah. So I want to reflect that and make sure I got it right. So it sounds like it's more of like an unintended consequence of saying, "Oh, it's up to Hashem," right? It's unintended. It's because and maybe people don't. Maybe we're not thinking too deeply about that, because when we say that, we kind of just shove it all down in a way, right? And so it's like, oh, everything's up to God, like this just happened to me and it's okay. But like, are you really believing that it's okay? Are you really saying that it's like did you really process that and like because I have a feeling that it's more real to process that with God instead and to say, Hashem, this happened to me. What's going on? I know everything comes from you, but I don't, like Abraham did, and Moshe, just because and Eov, right? So just because these things happen. We've had
doesn't mean you're passive.
Yeah, and we've had major religious figures in Tanakh going back and forth with God about it.
Yeah.
Right, and not sitting with they're not just passive and like, okay, this just happened. They go back and forth with God, and it could bother them, and they know that at the end, it's not that they don't have faith, not at all. Of course they have faith, but it's more about that they have that relationship and they need to process that with God. And so I guess to tie that together, and you'll tell me if I'm on the right track with this, with what you're saying, is when things happen to us in life, we need to take the time to really, especially when difficult things happen in life, we need to take the time to process that, consolidate that with God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, that is God up there in Shamayim and I'm here. Right. I feel like that actually distances us more.
It's beautiful. So you're bringing up a lot. One of the things I learned about is an amazing tool, Hitbodedut.
Yeah, love that.
It's a Hasidic concept. I've been studying some elements of Hasidut, which is amazing. I'll get to that in a second. But the concept of Hitbodedut is literally having a conversation, like you explained. You know, all of our forefathers had conversations. That conversation means your Hashem is there for you, for your specific moment in time, for your specific struggle. Everybody's unique, and you can talk to Hashem. You could talk to Hashem.
Yeah.
And if a person's schedules time in the morning before he starts his day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I have my own practice. My kids make fun of me because I sit alone in the dark for a long time in the morning. That hitbodedut, just talking back and forth.
You need to.
Means that you're part of the solution as well. So not only spiritually do we have to accept that we're not just passive, we're part of the solution, but also the person who's going through a challenge has to do hishtadlut. They have to, if it's a financial thing, if it's a medical thing, if it's a relationship thing, they can't just sit back and say it's all, Baruch Hashem, it's all to Hashem. We have to do the work. The complicated thing for many, many people who ask me, even for myself, is, well, where does the hishtadlut end and where does the bitachon begin?
It's always the question.
It's such a beautiful. But the
I
second
asked you that in 11th grade, by the way.
Right. It's an amazing question. Like, how much hishtadlut do I do? How much bitachon? I mean, my life changed when I read Shara Bitachon. Because I didn't know. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could think like this. And during COVID was a very hard time for a lot of people. And Hashem put the book in front of me. Strangest thing. And it changed my life. Because it brings up this question, Hashem loves you, cares for you. You're an Eved Hashem. He's going to give you what you need to fulfill the mission. But then the question is on a daily basis, well, how much do I need to do?
Right.
It's really, really, but this is faith. This is living a life of emunah and bitachon and hishtadlut. This is the life of a Jew.
Yeah. And
we should have more conversations like this.
Well, I think it's, to speak onto that, it's more, I think it's both. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. That's what I do personally. And, sometimes, so I would say, yes, things are up to God 1,000%. But at the same time, like, God is having an influence on my life, yes. But at the same time, let me see what I can do right now, or because I don't know what I'm supposed, but I know that I can do something, and so I guess it's up to what I can and can't do. And I feel like that's a lot of therapy in general, right? Whatever you can, and that's also Marcus Aurelius. I don't know if you know anything. He's like a Roman emperor. He wrote like an amazing book, Meditations, and it's like Stoicism. Basically, says like whatever you can't control, leave alone. Whatever you can't control, focus on, and that's pretty much it.
So that word control, is really, it comes up, I think, every other session that I have with a client. Recognizing what's within your control. I actually have a grid in my office on the table, laminated grid of a circle of what's in your control, and outside the circle is what's out of your control. We should teach this to kids. You know, if
yeah.
I was taught it as a kid, it would be, can I control you? No, I can't control you.
It
Can
would
I?
save a lot of mental energy.
Yeah. Can I control whether this podcast is successful? No, I can't control. I
Yeah.
could just sit here and do my best in the moment. Can I
Right.
control other? I can't. There's some things that I can control: my thoughts, my speech, my actions. But knowing the difference, that border, that boundary between what you can control and not control, is important. But we need to realize that a lot what comes up in session and in classes, and I should tell you what we do at Mekor more specifically, but a lot that comes up is fear. There's a lot of fear, and the amount of control maybe correlates to the amount of fear that you have, because the more fear you have, the more control you want to have.
It's a response. Yeah.
It's a response. So there's a lot of parts, and we need to just break them down, help people label them, break them down, see them, and then figure out where it's coming from.
So I'm glad we brought it back. So I want to bring it a little bit back more to addiction, because that's our topic for today. And I think let's talk about a little bit about shame, then we'll go deeper. Yeah,
Sure,
if that's okay. So what we find, so this is what I learned in the IFS training, is that there's tons of shame surrounding addiction internally for the individual and externally from their family, right? And what we find is that there's usually a critic, right? So an internal critic or an external critic, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There was a study that found that the more critical either you are to yourself or others are to you about your addiction, the more addictive you're going to become.
Mm-hmm.
And so that highlights something we call a polarization,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the more so the more conflict that we have in here, the more shame that we have about addiction will make us more addictive, right?
This cycle is crazy.
It's a
because
cycle.
if you're a parent or a spouse living with someone who is in active addiction, and you are the critic, thinking that you're helping. I mean, I don't want to speak too general, but I've spoken. I mean, the saddest phone calls I get are the spouse who calls me about their husband or wife that's an active addiction, or a parent that calls me about a child.
Yeah.
But just as much as we need to help the person in active addiction, we need to help the family member realize many, many different issues, but the family member realize that sometimes your criticism is
Fueling. It could.
Again, I don't want to. You're trying to help.
Yes.
First of all, I want to say you're trying to help.
Yep.
But there's things that we say or do. It doesn't cause it. It's not your fault. It's not the spouse's or the parents' fault, because the addict has a choice. But there's things that we could do to make it easier for the addict to break the cycle.
Yeah.
That's the way I want to say it in a positive way.
No, because
There's ways we can act and words we can use to make it easier for them to break a cycle, and that's why we have Al-Anon groups, which is spouses of people in addiction. We have for each one of the, alcohol, opioids, gambling, narcotics, sex addiction, unhealthy other things, coping mechanisms. But there's a whole program. There's a whole program to make sure that the person who's living or related or working with the person in addiction is also going through a process of re-education of how they think about the world. Which is just as important.
Yes, I was just going to say those exact words. It's the family members go through a hard time too.
The caregivers,
because their hearts are, because really, I think deep down behind that toughness, that sometimes they want to give that tough love. I'm not saying that they all do, but there are indications of that, of tough love, of trying to push the individual to get better. Underneath that is so much pain and longing for the individual, for the individual that they lost.
Yeah.
And my heart really goes out to them, because
and nobody gives you a book at the beginning of having a child of how to deal with a kid who might have unhealthy coping mechanisms. And
so
it's not your fault. It's not the parents' fault. I want to be really clear about this. It's really uncomfortable. I don't want to make anybody. We're on a public podcast.
Yeah.
But if you're a parent who's struggling with this, I would suggest seeking professional help, just so you're checking your own way of thinking about it.
There's nothing wrong with saying that, because at the end of the day, that if that person really cares about the other person who's addicted. If you're someone on the external side who really cares about the person who's addicted, that you're in a relationship with, whether you're a parent or a spouse, you're going to want to do everything you can to be the best that you can be for that person. And so getting that education, getting that, and I'm not saying that you need the therapy. What I'm saying is that it'd be very helpful if you go to 2-3 sessions or look up how to help someone who's addicted. How can I be there for someone who's going through a tough time?
Yeah. Again, this might be the reason why we're sitting together today, to get this message out. If you're living with someone, either a spouse or a child, there's your own journey is required. Yeah. It's not only about getting help for the person using. Your own journey is also will help you help yourself be better and stronger for the other person. Yeah. Just like anybody who's a caregiver for an elderly person or a sick person with cancer, or if you get help, you could be stronger for someone else. Yeah. And no one should feel alone. And to go back to your shame concept, it could be shameful to go get help for yourself because you're living with someone who has an addiction. But I would say that getting a good psychoeducation, getting an understanding of what addiction is and how it works, and that there's pain underneath it. It's not only about the substance or the process, and I should explain that in a second. But getting yourself good help is also part of the process to help.
And I'll add, there's nothing more humbling and beautiful, and I've seen this many times. Not even in just addiction. In any issue, whenever I see a parent, especially, helping their kid by wanting to come in and learn, my kid is in pain. What can I do for them? I want to be there for them. Yes, this is where we're at, but give me the tools. And it's so beautiful because when they learn that, they apply it, and then the whole family dynamic shifts.
Yeah. I mean, I just got a phone call last night, and as we were sitting here, a text of a parent who's not there yet, who doesn't understand this process yet, and just wants just wants to get their child fixed. Yeah. It's not easy. It's Hashem works in mysterious ways. And sometimes it's painful. Yeah. And it's a struggle and it's a challenge, but everything we have a saying, what's in your way is your way. If Hashem puts it in your way, it's for you. And once a person really realizes that, things become different.
I also had an old say, in filth it will be found.
In filth it will be found, yeah.
In the worst places, that's where you need to go.
Yeah, Rabbi Nachman says that.
Really? Yeah. That's great. So, okay, great. So I'm glad we spoke about the family point for a minute. So let's go back into the individual for a second. And so let's go into that internal world where what we find is that this is the most known concept, that there's always something that they're trying to, I guess, heal, remedy, things that people are trying to get away from usually, right? What we find is that addiction is a great suppressor. It's a numbness. Yeah. And people don't realize this when we go to substances, is that
everybody realizes it when they're numbing themselves, scrolling through their phone on Instagram or YouTube.
That's an addiction.
That's an addiction. It's very clearly a dopamine release in the brain. You're numbing whatever you're supposed to be doing. Everybody feels bad about it at some point. Like, oh my gosh,
there's the shame.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't stop.
But there's a reason why you did it.
And there's a reason why you did it. Again, the dopamine rush. I speak openly to my kids about this. Yeah. So you're trying to get more dopamine? That's funny. Why don't we do it in a healthy way? And it's a real problem. We all just want more. We want to feel better. We want more dopamine, more serotonin. This is great. Yeah. How do you get it in the right way?
And I want to get to that in a second. But another thought came to me is that what we find is that when people are constantly on their phones, addicted to their phones, or addicted to anything really, they don't just numb their negative feelings, but they also numb their positive feelings. Wow. Yeah. And I've seen this where you find, especially kids or young kids or teens or even some adults, where they look like zombies. They have less emotional vitality. Yeah. It's like it gets sucked out of them.
Paralyzed.
Yeah. People become paralyzed. And we find this also, if you want to take it, so let's take it to the extreme when people are especially on weed, right? When people are addicted to weed, it doesn't just take away that, it takes away all feelings. It doesn't just take away negative feelings of anxiety. It takes away feelings of, it's funny because sometimes they even get more anxious when they're smoking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But it doesn't just take away negative feelings. It takes away positive. Sometimes I've had clients who tell me they feel like they're out of their body.
Yeah.
Where they felt like they couldn't feel anything in general, and they're dying to feel again.
Yeah. And they only do more and more and different types of drugs to
try and fix
and
that.
feel.
So now you're.
It's to create. Some people actually cut themselves.
Yeah.
Cutting
to
is
feel.
just because they want to feel alive.
Yep.
But you're cutting yourself. But yeah, you're right.
And look, people might think we're nuts even talking about that on a podcast because people get scared. Oh, what do you mean? But there's a reason for that. It's no. Let's be honest, because this episode is for people who have difficulty with addiction, and it's fine if you're not obvious. Hopefully, you're not there yet. But people who end up using these methods to make themselves feel more. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. Yeah.
I mean, if you come to my office, we have feelings wheels. We have a feeling wheel on the table.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to really label your feeling.
Yeah.
And part of therapy is just, going back and retraining yourself. I'm feeling this.
I have a feeling that most people who go towards substance addictions, in a nutshell, they're afraid of their feelings.
Can I offer a different way?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So a lot of people that I've dealt with, it's not that they're afraid of their feelings. They say, and I think it's true, that people who are challenged with substances are very sensitive people. They're actually more sensitive than other people, and that's why they get flooded by a tremendous amount of. They're so sensitive, which, by the way, means they're so much more awesome.
Yeah,
they're so much better.
Yeah.
But because they're so sensitive, it was hard to deal with all these feelings, so they numb it.
So it's not that they're afraid.
So
I like that. And let me change that up. So instead of being, I don't think it's more afraid of their feelings. I think they're overwhelmed by their feelings.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot. That's actually very true.
Yeah. So what do we do? These people actually have more of a possibility of getting closer and closer to Hashem.
They have more beautiful qualities to them.
There's nothing better. I mean, I say this to my group all the time, to the class that I give to recovering addicts. There's nothing better than teaching them Torah. That is the deepest Torah I teach all week long. I teach in shul, for instance. I love teaching in shul. But where do we get really, really deep about Torah and connecting to Hashem is with the guys in recovering addicts.
Wow.
Because they are tapped in and very sensitive to the world that Hashem gave us. And they want more of it. And they want to get closer and closer and closer to Hashem. And the sensitivity is actually good.
So I want to just, if it's okay if I summarize for a minute, and then we'll even go deeper, because we're getting very, and then I like how deep we're really getting deep. So we're about to, I feel like we're gonna hit like the main deeper issue. So before we do, just to help people really, I guess, stay on track with us. So people get very this is how they also view it in IFS. People have sensitive parts, right? These are the most vulnerable parts of ourselves. We have something called exiles, and those parts are called exiles because they're usually exiled out of the system, right? Sometimes they overwhelm us too much to the point where we get hurt too much to the point. Those are all feelings of shame, of imperfection, of feeling that we're not enough, emotional wounding, abandonment issues, any time that you could feel that you've been seriously hurt in life.
Neglect.
Huh?
Neglect.
Yes. All of that, all of those parts are something we call exiles, and the more sensitive that we are, the more that we're going to feel those feelings. You're good. So the more we're gonna feel that group of those feelings, and so the higher it is, the more that we're gonna need something else to deal with that. And so the more sensitive, the more emotional wounding that we have, the more addiction, or the more of a response. A firefighter,
more medicine.
The more medicine we're going to need to which is what we're going to need to deal with that, to put out the flames. Right. Yeah. And so I look at it. Yeah. Addiction is more of like a firefighter. It's more of like
So that's why treating the actual substance, the drinking, the drugs, the opioids, the sex, the porn, that is not going to help, because you're just going to jump from one to another.
That's a big statement, and I agree with it.
You have to deal with the exile or the pain or the sensitivity. which again, once the person learns this and learns how to harness it and gets into recovery, there's so much more awesome. Somebody actually said to me, I'm grateful to be in recovery because I now am able to peel away the layers that were negative and access the positive and live that way in the world with people, with my family, with my friends, with myself. Yeah.
But I want to. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. A lot of people don't believe that. Yeah.
It is possible to live a purposeful, meaningful life. I believe that having a God-centered life is part of the making that possible. That's our saying at Mekor. And people, I've seen people who have very amazing lives in recovery.
Yeah. And so this is where I want to bring it to. So we've had those two structures here, and what I guess we're trying to do, what you're trying to do is not work on this group, is to work on this group, is to work on the exiles, to work on the vulnerable parts, to work on the parts where people got hurt. And the way you treat it is through spiritual healing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, both. What we do, we integrate mental health modalities like IFS or inner child work or
You said CBT earlier.
Or CBT or DBT. We'll integrate what we know from those evidence-based modalities, and I'll blend it with what I know as a rabbi, spiritual connection to Hashem, and all the concepts of bitachon, emunah, bitachon, and philosophy. I don't want to use the word philosophy, but what we know from our hachamim, from Chazal, whether it's the Rambam, the Ramban, Reb Nachman, Rav Meilich Biederman, who's now very popular. So we'll integrate both of those things, and this works not only in the Torah classes we have at Mekor, but it also works in my private practice in the sessions that we have one-on-one with people. It works with the support groups that we have. We also run this beautiful program. We partner up with the Comfort Zone to run an Al-Anon style Torah for recovery for women. We had 25 women last week at Mekor who are wives of people struggling in addiction. And some of the husbands are not getting treatment. That's the most painful case. Some of the husbands are getting treatment, and it's affecting. So there's a lot of work to do.
Wow.
But Torah, the blend, the integration of both. And I've been doing integration way before mental health. I believe that our Shita should be integrating Torah with what the world gives us.
No, really well said. I'm trying to see what I could add to that because you said it perfectly. And I guess that's what I'll bring it back to me for a minute because that's what I do as a therapist personally. Honestly, I like to merge what I learn from, especially Jordan B. Peterson or no? Yeah, he's amazing, by the way. And he has a lot of, he actually brings down to the point that a lot of things that we know about psychology is rooted in religion. Mm-hmm. What we know about, especially about the structure of society, is rooted in religion. Mm-hmm. And so for people to really separate, religion from mental health, I don't think people don't know the history because there is a nice relationship between mental health and religion. And
I forgot who said you can't treat addiction with a pill. It's a spiritual disease.
I love that. Yeah, it is.
There's no pill that can treat addiction. It's a spiritual disease. The first one that I started reading about this was Rabbi Abraham J. Twersky.
Yeah, genius.
And he mentions that.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual void, and we have to figure out a way of dealing. We need to spend more time on it.
So let's say someone's watching right now who is struggling with addiction, especially young kids who are vaping, who use these substances where they're stressed.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, I hear it. I know, because we're kind of helping people realize what really addiction is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've pretty much done that up to this point.
There's a lot more.
I know there's a lot more. This is very, very...
The risk in doing a now podcast is that there's really... we're only touching...
We're very...
5% of what I...
Very surface. And it's hard because...
We should do version 2.
Yeah.
Part 2.
No, I think we should go deeper.
Yeah.
Especially for people who... And I feel like people need to watch this first to really understand, I guess, the structure that we're putting together. Because there's a lot... But I like how we set it up, basically, how, there's reasons for the addiction. There's good parts behind it. There's good intentions behind the addiction.
Nobody wants to be an addict.
No one wants to be an addict, and that there's something deeper inside that's really needs to be healed. Yeah. Great. So let's say someone's watching that and they're saying, okay, I get it. But right now I don't know what to do to replace the addiction with it. Mm-hmm. I need it still.
You need the medicine.
I don't want to get rid of it. I need it right now.
Yeah.
And what are they supposed to do? Sometimes, so should I tell you, do you have an idea about that?
I'd like to hear your idea.
So sometimes it depends on the addiction, but sometimes I let people stay with it until we heal what's really going on underneath them. Mm-hmm. Then I focus on what's on the addiction itself.
So, I won't make a categorical statement, but there are generally two ways to think about, getting clean. One is the abstinence model, and one is the harm reduction model. And both have their values and both have their negatives. I would never suggest harm reduction for somebody.
What is harm reduction for people watching?
That's a good question. Abstinence is stopping.
Yeah. Complete cold turkey.
Complete cold turkey, and you'll take urine tests or blood tests or something like that. And you're going to have an answer for that person of what to replace their addiction with immediately. Harm reduction, depending on if it's a substance or a process, we would never suggest harm reduction for dangerous drugs that could kill you, like fentanyl. We're not going to suggest harm reduction for people on fentanyl, but if a person is watching porn or they're doing something that's not immediately dangerous, non-life-threatening, thank you. There is a harm reduction model which you could take the time to train them to label what they're going through, and to see their parts, and to see what's really underneath, and then to work to replace it.
So you could take the time.
It's going to take some time. So everybody who's listening to this should know there's no shortcuts in Judaism. You got to do the hard work in getting close to Hashem. There's no shortcuts here. You got to do the hard work, and the best way to do it is with a professional who's trained in this work to help you. Because everybody, I believe, and the reason why I got into this business is that you have the answer, right? It happens to be called the strengths-based perspective. I believe everybody has a neshama. They wake up with a pure neshama every single day. They have the answer, and a therapist or somebody trained can help you get there if you do the work.
That's the IFS perspective also.
Yeah, sure.
That I don't think I explained this to people what IFS is. It's a modality that's, I think, relatively new. It came out in the 80s, and it's called internal family systems, and it's where we kind of go into ourselves and deal with our parts, but really tap into that inner resource called the self. So
the true self is the neshama.
The true self is the neshama. Yeah. And
just to tell people, when you say internal family systems, it's not talking about your greater family.
No.
It's talking about the family in your brain.
Yeah. We have if anyone watched Inside Out, it's kind of like that. That's a great
mandatory.
Analogy. Yeah. It's mandatory for the therapists to watch.
Mandatory. I actually have to admit, I didn't see number 2.
Yeah.
I saw number 1 and I was crying the whole time. But see number 2. Yeah, I heard number 2 is great.
Yeah. But that's it's basically that we have an internal family. We have an anxiety part. We have a critical part. And we have shameful parts, doubtful parts, and then there's something called the self, because the self is that you are not, like you, who are we? We are not a part. We are the thing, we are the self that can help our own parts, that we can help our anxious parts. And that's what
So in Torah, the self, the neshama, is the observer. The neshama can never become tameh. The neshama is never affected. This is according to one Hasidic model, Hasidut model. The neshama is untouchable in terms of it can't get hurt, it can't get affected. No matter what sin you did, you're still pure neshama. Elohai neshama she'natata bi tehora. And there are other parts of you that do maybe unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Right.
But your neshama is always going to be pure. So there's always hope. There's always hope in helping a person do teshuvah. Not the teshuvah like you do like they talk about, but do a teshuvah means go back to your true self, like you're saying, find that self, and get that self back in control.
I love that. And I think we're really hitting on what the healing component is for people, and we're giving them a taste of what it's like for them if they do this process, which I think is the main goal of this, is to get people thinking, if they are struggling with some sort of addiction, that if you really want to help yourself get to a better place, you can. And if you have someone smart on the other side of the table that's helping to guide you there, they will help get you to the point where you're tapping into that inner resource, the true you, the real you that can help you, because there is strength in there.
Yeah.
There's strength. So me and you have the same approach, and I love that, which is that the person, we just have to get it out of them, but the person themselves has the answers, has the strength, has the fortitude, has that soul in them to heal those other parts that have been affected in life.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you'll see the whole system calm down.
They'll get more regulated.
They'll get more regulated. They don't have to live this way. Because, and here's what I'll say, if you're smoking, if you're on marijuana, if you're having difficulty with any type of addiction, I think you are constantly, actively trying to heal a part of you, and you don't know how to.
Yeah.
You don't know how to heal that part, but you're trying.
And after a time, that medicine is not going to work for you. It's not going to be enough medicine. You're going to want more medicine to heal that part.
Yeah.
And if that's not working, you're going to try a different type of a drug or process. And it's all you want to do is feel better.
You're going to try a million things, but we know one thing that works, which is tapping into the inner resource, the soul that can talk to your parts, or how else would I say it? Not just,
I think the neshama connected to Hashem, there's a little piece of Hashem in you. That is your resource. It's called resourcing. It's a thing we do in therapy. It's resourcing. We find something that brings you strength, and Hashem can be a resource. But again, you have to do. It has to be done in the right way.
Yeah.
Understanding, the pain and what's blocking you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Not simple. This is not simple work.
I feel like it's also hard for us to go too much into detail because it'll get very complicated. It's
I mean, if we could do it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I want to do a follow-up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, we need to do a follow-up on this.
We have to.
This other thing. I would love to start men's groups for men, not in addiction.
In general.
Just men in general.
Yeah.
I think it's an untapped area of our community, just to learn together with men, not Gemara, Rashid Tosafot, which is great, but maybe we can really just find ourselves better. The research says that group therapy or support groups actually work better than individual therapy.
Really?
Yeah, for some.
I've seen that in some cases.
So the groups that we have are very effective, and we should start a men's group.
I love that.
To support each other through this journey of life. But that's part two.
Yeah, we'll go into it. Yeah. And I guess there was a study I actually wanted to add, going back to addiction real quick. They did a study. I don't know if you know about the study, but they did a study on rats, and what they found is that
Rat Park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Rat Park. Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing.
You want to talk about it?
No, you talk about it.
So I'll start it, and then you want fine. So this is one of the best.
Well, that's really what Mekor uses. I mean, we use this theory.
This is because you were talking about groups, and I think this is like so. Guys, this was one of the most amazing studies we have found, which is that at first, so for people who don't know, when psychologists do research, they do a lot of research on rats and in the lab, and in the lab, what they literally put, I think, sugar water, and then they put water with cocaine in it. And what they found is that the rats consistently took the cocaine water. And I think another psychologist came in, I forgot the name, and he said, well, of course they're taking the cocaine water. They're literally in a box. They put them in a sterile environment where there was nothing else, and they were alone also. That's very important. The rat was alone. And so what they started doing was taking rats and putting them in an environment where there were other rats. Rat Park. Yeah, and so what they found was
it had other rats to socialize. It also had some nature walks for the rats. It had some toys for the rats. It had different interesting things for the rats to keep up their time. And do you want to tell them what happened?
Yeah, that's just finish it off. It's those rats and those rats still had the choice in Rat Park to take the cocaine water or the sugar water. They consistently took the sugar water or the normal water. They never took the cocaine water. They didn't need it.
That's right.
So you want to tell us?
So the goal is to provide connection. Right? We say the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yes, 1,000%.
So if a person is connected to family, friends, if a person is connected to Hashem, is a person connected to his inner child, if a person is connected to their true self, if a person is connected to their responsibilities as either a student, father, son, daughter, mother, if they're connected to their responsibilities if they're connected to their community, if they're connected to religion, and they have routine that they're busy with and they're involved with, that person has a better chance of having the regular water instead of the cocaine water.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to go back. We live in a very interesting society, right? We have almost everything. And why are people trying to escape their feelings? Why are people now vaping more than ever? Now people are taking Zyn
Constantly,
all the time. The drug companies are saying that it's 42% of sales these days. Why? Why do we keep on needing to feel more and more and more and more? So a lot of new approaches is just practicing living in the here and now, right? Living in the here and now. There's breath work that one could do. There's mindfulness that one could do. We should talk at some point about psychedelics. That
a lot of research into that.
That can be used very negatively for hurt a lot of people. Or psychedelics can be used some people positively. Again, I'm not giving a haskama. But I just got off the phone with somebody about it. So there's a lot of things that people are tapping into to escape the now.
And looking for answers.
I think one of the things we should start doing at the earliest age in schools is teaching kids how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, how to sit in the now, how to be present instead of always worrying about the future. I mean, there's a lot of things we could do to start solving
how
this
to be
problem.
with your feelings.
How to be with your feelings.
Connected to your feelings.
And express them, feel them, express them, be vulnerable.
So you're talking...
I'm talking about the fix.
You're talking about
really starts
preventative work.
Preventative work. So a lot of work that I try and do is preventative. I was involved with this startup school by members of the community. It was an amazing thing to start educating kids about feeling feelings at the earliest age. And it was fantastic. It's a fantastic idea, concept school.
It's so needed.
It didn't continue. It was 2 years old. Can I say the name of the family here? So the Harari family, Eli, Joy, and Yvonne Harari had this idea in New Jersey to do this. And it was really great. It's great. But it's very tough work. And I hope that more and more schools, again, don't just allow kids to talk about feelings, but because that's happening all over the place, but doing it in the right way.
Well, yeah, right. Doing it in a way that's, I guess, guided. That's well developed, smart.
We need to take an opportunity to rethink some of the education that we do, both at home and in schools and in shuls, to use what we know about mental health to translate it better to the people. And I would say if a person lives a God-centered life, he's going to live a more meaningful, purposeful, meaningful life. It's pretty clear that we know that.
Viktor Frankl.
We're the oldest people on earth because of the Torah. The Torah is our medicine. It has to be taught in the right way, and everybody's trying really, really hard, and I think we could help.
Is there anything else that you want to add?
I appreciate the opportunity to spread the message of reducing the stigma of these things.
Yeah.
By the way, the community has been doing a great job. There's so many organizations that are doing great work in reducing the stigma in terms of mental health. But there's no shame in finding a therapist. There's no shame in going to a group. I know it's hard to talk about it in public, but there is a lot of help out there, and there's hope. There's hope.
And I love that. And I'll add to that if you are someone struggling with
unhealthy coping
mechanisms. Thank you. I was looking for that.
Yeah.
Struggling with unhealthy coping mechanisms. There's no reason to feel ashamed. There's no reason to feel that you're alone, and there's no reason to feel that you're bad for having these difficulties in life.
No.
There is tremendous. Take advantage of the help that is being offered today, because there is more help than ever that is being offered. And especially with Rabbi Haber over here, he's doing tremendous, really important work. I think you're doing a phenomenal work, by the way. I didn't get a chance to really say that. No, you really are. And it's work that's needed. And thank God you really, like, it's getting out there, and you're having groups being put together. You've done something phenomenal, which is really integrating Judaism with mental health, which a lot of people are so interested in, but you're actually doing it. And yeah, I just think it's amazing what you're doing, and that, again, people can get the help that they need.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Possible.
It's a blessing that Hashem gave me this dot to put it together. I'm only at the beginning of this journey for myself. I don't know where it's going to end up. I just I always wanted to help people. So it was in a classroom, and then it was in a shul, and now it's in an office.
There you go.
So, it's a blessing to be able to do this work. I love the work with people who are, working these things out for themselves. And, if anybody needs help, there's help out there. Both, by the way, there's help in the community and also help in the outside the community.
Yeah. Whatever you need to do, get help is fine. Yeah. That's what I say, Yeah. Okay. Thank you for coming on, really.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. Hashem should bless you that you continue spreading more and more awareness and education to the community, so that they hear on these podcasts some more education and they can make choices better.
Very well said. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.